Jurassic Park is a great film directed by Steven Spielberg and released in the spring of 1993, and it was one of the highest grossing films of all time. Jurassic Park is a perfect and clear example of a high budget, special effects driven blockbuster movie. The plot is about three scientists who spend a weekend on a theme park with dinosaurs on an island. Steven Spielberg is interesting because he is widely liked. Certain directors like George Romero or David Lynch have a cult following or a following with a small audience, but Steven Spielberg is liked by a lot of people. One of the reasons for his wide appeal is possibly because he borrowed ideas from a lot of great influential films and directors, including Orson Welles and Howard Hawks. He also gives the audience what they expect, but sometimes gives more than what the audience expects. His movies are usually genre movies, but he elevates the material. Steven Spielberg is known for directing what is considered the first big-budget summer blockbuster movie called Jaws. In Jaws, one of the techniques he used is he doesn't show the shark until 1 hour and 21 minutes into the movie. In Jurassic Park, the T-Rex and raptors are hinted at, but not shown until later in the movie. He has a unique talent that has been imitated but rarely replicated by other blockbuster directors. One of the big breakthroughs of Jurassic Park is that it was one of the first films to have mostly realistic dinosaurs, which was new for any live-action dinosaur movie. This is because the film used computer-generated images instead of stop-motion animation. Up until this point in cinema, usually creatures in movies were created using a type of practical special effect like stop-motion, animatronics, or a guy in a monster suit. The characters are all different than one another, and they all serve a specific purpose in the plot. The film was popular when it first came out, but since then, it has been criticized. One of the common criticisms of Jurassic Park is that the characters are not complex except for Ian Malcolm.
Of course, in Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. And the bottom line is that his special effects dinosaurs are truly thrilling, but unfortunately his human characters are not. Off screen, the film really lags. That wasn't true if you think about it with Jaws, which had three marvelous characters hunting the shark. Jurassic Park only has Goldblum. The rest of the crew stands around and smiles or schemes. Still, thumbs up from me.
I disagree. I think all of the characters in Jurassic Park are realistic, complex, and unique, except for Dr. Ellie Sattler. It might seem at first like only Ian Malcolm has personality to him because he makes a lot of smart-ass comedic comments throughout the film, and he has a rebellious personality. But I think it is very easy to give personality to a wisecracking comedic character because it is just comedy, and it can be plugged into any situation or scene regardless of the tone or context. However, Alan Grant's personality is more subtle and harder to create. Alan Grant is smart, but he is socially awkward. He's a paleontologist who is passive, quiet, polite, but he is kind of distanced from people, and it is hard for him to get close with people and show his emotions. I think a lot of people confuse this for Alan not having any personality, but it is just a subtler personality than the more obvious personality of Ian Malcolm. Another criticism was the strong lighting and expressionistic lighting used throughout Jurassic Park is just a result of Steven Spielberg and his love of spotlights. Steven Spielberg has used spotlights in a lot of his movies before, but I think he uses them for a greater reason than that he just likes them. I think that he is trying to make the movie more visual and expressionistic. The use of spotlights in the first scene in Jurassic Park gives the scene a darker tone, and it adds a lot of visual richness to the scene. Steven Spielberg has always used strong expressionistic lighting and artsy visuals. One of the reasons for this is that Steven Spielberg was influenced by other filmmakers who used similar visuals, lighting, and even shot composition.
I tried to bring to TV was a lesser emphasis on the close-up because the movies I learned from were really about master shots and letting the audience kind of look at the overview and kind of be their own film editor sometime. I used to love those old movies like Orson Welles, certainly, and John Ford, shot wide. Howard Hawks shot wide. But when Hawks and Ford went in for the close-up, it was to tell a story. It was to drum home a point. And they used the close-up as a powerful tool of narrative storytelling.
There are a lot of similarities to Steven Spielberg and Orson Welles. I think Steven Spielberg was influenced by Citizen Kane, and I think that the similarities and expressionistic hard lighting is intentional. Jurassic Park is a visually detailed movie. I like the way the camera moves to reveal important plot points. It keeps the energy of the movie going and keeps the pacing quick. There are also a large variety of shots used throughout the movie. There are low angles, high angles, use of foreground and background, extreme close-ups, and also one-shot takes. My favorite sequence in the movie is when the T-Rex attacks the car with the two kids in it. What I like so much about this scene is that the whole movie has built up to the reveal of the T-Rex. All of the characters have been set up and have something to do in this scene. Like the children who are going through a divorce and the lawyer who abandons them and has a sleazy, selfish personality. Ian Malcolm is irresponsible to deal with the situation, and Alan Grant, who is considering having a family, has something to do. All of these characters' setups have a payoff. Every character is given something to do. Everything in the plot has built up to this conflict with the T-Rex. The atmosphere is dark and scary and tense because it is nighttime and it is raining. There's a lot of suspense and tension. I like how the T-Rex doesn't immediately attack the car. There's a moment when we are not sure if it's going to attack or not, and there's suspense. We see the face and size of the T-Rex, and then when the T-Rex does try to break into the car to eat the kids, it's more scary and surprising. Alan Grant becomes a father figure for the kids in this scene, and this becomes his character arc throughout the movie. The kids who have been going through a divorce and are stranded without their parents in the jungle, and they need a parent figure, so they are fathered and protected by Alan Grant throughout the movie. At the end of the movie, Alan Grant completes his character arc by learning how to take care of children and possibly, maybe one day, having children of his own with Dr. Sadler. During the last shot of the movie, he is holding the kids, and they're sleeping on his lap. And he looks out the window and sees birds flying next to the helicopter. So the birds outside of the helicopter window remind him that dinosaurs live on. I think Jurassic Park is a very well-made movie that is almost a horror movie, but the movie takes the subject matter more seriously, unlike most horror movies. The movie is elevated beyond its subject matter. Jurassic Park is a very visually rich movie with a lot of striking angles, film noir lighting, and rays of light shining through smoky rooms. The film has a really dark, exotic, tropical atmosphere. The movie is so engaging and interesting that after the first third of the movie, you almost forget about the park lawsuit because you get caught up in the relationship of the characters and how the park works. Then when the dinosaurs break out, you root for the characters because you like them, and you forget about the lawsuit with the construction site worker being eaten. This is important because the lawsuit is just a MacGuffin for the story. The setting of the movie is very creative and elaborate. With most creature features, usually the characters are killed off one at a time, and the plot of the movie is based around the subtraction of each character as the main characters try to escape the creature. In Jurassic Park, the plot is more around the science and how the park works and the relationships of the characters. The theme of adapting to the new environment and how you can't control nature or play God. That you almost forget the exact order of characters that die in the movie. Sometimes you forget that only 4 characters die. Jurassic Park is a great movie, and I think it's a classic.